Everyone always says to keep a monthly budget, but no one actually shows you how to do it in real time. If you get to the end of the month and always wonder, where did your money go? This is for you. Take your power back with a monthly budget review. I'm going to show you my real January spending and my monthly budget for February with 4 steps for you to create your own monthly budget review too. Why, hello, my yellow groupers. I'm Carly, a finance grad and the creator of Best Money Class Ever, where I teach how to pay off debt, invest, and stress less about money. Grab a seat. I'm about to spill the financial tea. Are you ready for it? Most people set a monthly budget and then life happens. Unexpected expenses pop up, spending drifts off track, or you simply forgot to check in. Before you know it, the end of month is here and you're left feeling discouraged, behind, and confused. That is exactly where a monthly budget review comes in, aka your executive money meeting. A monthly review is simply a quick check-in once a month to see where your money went, what's coming up next month, and what needs to be adjusted. I'm going to show you my real monthly budget review. You can have your own monthly budget review with pen and paper. I'll be using my financial day planner, classic planner, and spreadsheet, which is linked below. Before we get into the 4 steps on how to have a monthly budget review, as a heads up, this is how to maintain, keep, and check in with your budget. If you missed it, I did actually share how to create a complete budget from scratch. If you missed that, you want to check that video out. Also, I have a complete deep dive on how to get focused and organized with your money and life. Make sure and check that out as well. As a recap though, I want you to become Chief Financial Officer and manage your money like a boss. I don't know why people don't talk about money in this way, but I want you to use your financial statements. I freaking love financial statements. They're what the Fortune 500 billion-dollar companies use to manage money. There are 3 financial statements: your balance sheet, which is a snapshot of where you stand right now. It's your big picture. It shows your net worth, your total assets, everything you own, and your total liabilities, which is everything you owe. That is something I actually check in quarterly versus every month. What we'll be using for your monthly budget review is your income statement and your statement of cash flow. Your income statement shows your income and expenses in a month. We want to make sure you have a profitable budget. In the business world, this is also known as a P&L or profit and loss statement. Your statement of cash flow shows the inflows and outflows in the month. That is what we use to actually track the real transactions. The income statement is what we think is going to happen, or in other words, our budget, and the cash flow is what actually happens, or where we track. Let's take a quick look. Okay, so here is a look at my January budget. As a heads up, I am what I consider semi-retired. I am completely debt-free, so my cost of living is not that expensive. If you need a little de-influencing, you can check out exactly my spending from 2025. Life doesn't have to be expensive. With that to say, my expenses are only about $2,500 a month. Here on the income statement, you'll see what I thought was going to happen. I do like to fill in the actual transactions week by week on the statement of cash flow, but if for some reason you don't do that, a monthly budget review is a good chance to kind of get caught up. As a recap, the categories on the income statement, we have our income and our expenses for the month. We have pre-tax savings. We have our starting balance plus the take-home pay. And then for fixed expenses, we have saving, charity, housing, which I include an average of electricity, water, gas, trash. And then we have insurance, which would be renters, car, health, services like gym, cable, or streaming, or internet, cell phone, debt. I am 100% debt free. I don't have student loans or car loans or anything like that. Those are my fixed expenses. Then there are flex expenses that do vary. And for those, I take the guesswork out. For my operating expenses, I use cash. An MIT study showed that you spend 100% more with a credit card versus actual cash. For my day-to-day spending as CFO, I take a set amount of cash out, takes the guesswork out of a budget. I use cash for my necessities first, like groceries, putting gas in my car, and then other day-to-day things like going out to eat, happy hours, food or drinks, and other miscellaneous. I do like to have on the income statement or P&L a profitable budget. So each month I have at least $500 allocated for other flex expenses. And I call these life reinvestments. These are areas that you as CFO can choose to spend on guilt-free based on what is going on in your life. Those categories are medical, maintenance, projects, celebration, travel, and fun. As CFO, before the month starts, I put a dollar sign to my to-do list of what I'd like to do extra for that particular month. Those change based on what, again, is going on in my life. For me, I am prioritizing some therapy. I have a zero copay. I am going to see an eye doctor and then supplements, so I allocated extra money for that. I found out I'm allergic to dust mites, so I wanted to spend about $125 on a mattress and pillowcase protector. And then I moved from an RV into an apartment. I had no TV, so I wanted to get a TV. I did have a lot of celebrations and birthdays with friends. I actually used my weekly cash on that for those expenses. There wasn't anything for travel. And then for fun, I did want to find fun sports meetup. That is what I think that is going to happen. Step number one for your budget review is then to fill in your actual transactions on your statement of cash flow. Statement of cash flow shows the inflows and outflows in a month. I do like to fill these in weekly and have what I call a weekly review. So make sure and follow. I'll show you my exact process on that. If you don't have your transactions for the month, a monthly budget review is a good time to check in on that. Here shows the inflows and outflows. On this financial day planner, you don't actually have to write the negative number or anything. It's just the absolute value. Categorize each of the transactions. Again, the categories are income, savings, charity, housing, insurance, service, debt, weekly cash, medical, maintenance, project, celebration, travel, and fun. Let's take a look at those expenses I had in January. I pull up my transactions from my bank log and then enter them here. I do want to make sure I have an accurate starting balance. Then the first expense I had was my car insurance, and then I categorized that as insurance. Then I had my health insurance, that's an insurance expense. I then do have weekly cash. So I took out a set $120 cash and made it last for the week. Rollover cash from the previous week, I had some left over, and then I got $120 new cash for the week. And these are my cash transactions. I got beef and rice takeout, categorized that as food and drink out. I spent $35 on groceries that week, and then I got gas in my car. I did $25. I had $65 left in weekly cash from that week. I had electricity for about $77, renter's insurance for $9.50. That was an insurance expense. I had this crazy thing. I had to get a money order, which I'm not happy about, to physically write a check for my rent. So that was $3. I did categorize that as housing. I had weekly cash again of $120. Here's the cash transactions from that week. This week I spent $55 on groceries. It was a little more expensive because I needed toiletries like laundry detergent, trash bags, and cotton balls. I spent $17.51 for burger and tater tots, $4.31 for tacos, $13 for a happy hour. I got quesadillas, spent $15 on gas, did two-stepping, and there was a cover for $10. At the end of the week, I had $70 left for weekly cash. For my debit card transactions that I log back over on the statement of cash flow, I bought some vitamins for $28.97, and I categorized that as medical. Then I got weekly cash again for the following week for that weekly cash. I did go to Target. I had a gift card. I spent that, and then with the leftover, I bought a birthday gift and some sunglasses for myself. I also got a purse. I spent $27.74, and I categorized that with weekly cash as other. I went to Dollar Tree to get birthday cards. I got two for $1.08, and I categorized that as other. Then my friend did have a birthday night, and we did a wine night, so I bought her a flight of wine, and my wine drink was $27.65. I got groceries for $44.67. I also got my beef and rice bowl again for $11.90. My headlight on my car went out, which I had to head over to O'Reilly. I spent $21.64. Categorize that as other with weekly cash. And your girl has some sweet tooth. Like I got candy, $4.84. Categorize that as food and drinks. And then I did a skincare run, dark spot corrector, retinol, and cleanser for $43.61. I categorize that as other with weekly cash. Paid myself a whopping $12.50 and categorized that as income. I got charged health insurance twice this month. That was $215.81 again. I have my rent, water, trash, and fees was $959.34. I categorize all of that as housing. My internet is $65. I categorize that as service. Took out weekly cash again for $120. This week was a crazy winter storm in Texas, so my groceries were more expensive because a lot of store brand were out and I had to get name brand. So I spent $52.75 on groceries, $20 on gas, and then I got coffee 2 times for $3. I did join a new gym and it's $37.88. I categorize that as a service. And then I did also get charged car insurance twice. I don't know what is up with this month, but that was another 134.08. And then I did get my sheets and mattress cover for allergies for 125.52 with tax, another paycheck of 12.50. I do have a couple days left in January, so I'll have a few more pending expenses, mostly 120 weekly cash for the final Friday. The second step with a monthly budget review is to reconcile your account. You want to see if your records match what the actual bank account says. You can simply scroll down and see at the end of the statement of cash flow what your records say. Here, for example, mine is $2,419.99, and then I'm going to enter what it actually says I have on my bank account balance and see what is pending. In my bank account, it actually says I have 121044, saying that there are pending transactions of 120455. I know what it is. I can see here what part of my order for the sheets and mattresses has gone through and the other part hasn't. So the only part that's actually processed so far is 8007 versus 125. My paycheck hasn't deposited those two things. Then it will actually say here there is zero pending transactions. I know that they're going to process, so I'm going to change it back to how it was. If you're new to having a monthly budget review, reconciling might take a little work. If you are trying to get everything to balance, what I recommend is double checking that the starting balance is accurate. And then I do pull up line by line and double check. Typically, you entered in something incorrectly, you forgot an expense, maybe you did a duplicate expense. There is also the possibility of categorizing an expense when it actually was income, that would throw it off. And then sometimes there are refunds and returns that you do need to categorize correctly. To visually check everything, I do recommend highlighting and then just bolding to confirm when you double check those transactions as you're going through line by line. If there is a return, how that would work is you would actually put in the item that you are returning. Let's say I partially returned something from my sheet and I returned $75 worth. The one time that you would do a negative is only for a return, because basically we want to lower what you spent in that category. The third step with the monthly budget review is just to review your numbers. Now that we have everything entered and then we have reconciled it so we know it's accurate, let's see what is going on. The format that I have is I like to review the annual budget summary. I do keep an annual budget. If you want to see what my actual annual budget is, you can check that video out. But basically here in the annual budget summary, I have my monthly budget, which draws from the numbers of my income statement of what I think my income and expenses will be for that month. The monthly actual is what I actually spent in each of those categories. And those numbers are withdrawn from the statement of cash flow, the inflow and outflow from the month. And then I have my actual annual budget, which shows the total in each of the categories that I anticipate for the coming year. And then there is the year to date actual. This just shows out of the categories what I've spent actually total accumulated month by month. So this is just the first month of the year. So the monthly actual and the year to date actual is the same. When you review your numbers, you can kind of check for a few things. Maybe you over or underspent in some categories. So for example, the big thing that came up this month for me was the double charges for insurance. I think what happened is a new health insurance plan built on the last day of the month. And so that didn't actually process. December's health insurance actually was charged in January. January's insurance was charged in January. And then same thing for some reason that happened with my car insurance. I anticipated spending $348. I actually spent $709, which is a little crazy. My services was off a little bit. I ended up switching up my gym. My weekly cash is different because this month hasn't actually been completed. I have one more week to actually get the cash. The projects, for example, also are a little off. I thought I'd spend $225 in projects. I actually spent $125 because I also anticipated getting a TV, but I just haven't gotten that yet. I will then likely get that in February. Another thing I like to review, I have here an extra tracker. This is if there is something specifically you want to track throughout the year. I haven't decided what I want to track extra, but for example, last year, I wanted to track how much my RV maintenance and repairs were compared to all of my maintenance and repairs to kind of differentiate what was RV versus car. I also like to review your savings and investments, how you're doing with your progress. Do consider myself semi-retired. You can watch the video on the exact numbers with that. But essentially, for example, last year my investments earned over 90,000 and my total cost of living was about 31,000. Things are shifting. I want to have a million invested. Right now, I'm kind of living my semi-retired life. I want to work to investing the 2,500. So we will see. So kind of reviewing that plan there. This is the monthly P&L summary. This is something probably new and you might not have heard of. Essentially, with your income statement, it is also known as a P&L or profit and loss. So we want to make sure you have a budget that is profitable. The way that I view that on a personal finance level is you have your net income. I calculate net income as your income minus your fixed expenses, which we are including savings and charity, and then also minus what I call your operating expenses. Some people would call these necessities. I call them operating because it's just your day-to-day spending, just like a business, like what you as a human need. So again, I do 120 and I do that cash because operating expenses are an area people tend to overspend on. Cash really helps pace that spending. So the net income is going to be your income minus fixed expenses minus your operating expenses. And then what is different here in the way I view budgets is you have your what I call life reinvestments. In a business, when you have net income, you can then choose to keep that money in the business, and that would be your retained earnings, or you can choose to reinvest. So maybe you would hire a contractor to help, you'd update your website and spend money on a graphic designer. In the business of you, we are going to choose to spend guilt-free in areas that are important to you. Other personal finance world, they would call these variable expenses, but we're calling them life reinvestment. So you choose what to reinvest in. The categories I have for these are medical, maintenance, projects, celebration, travel, and fun. We always want to reinvest in your health. The premium is considered a fixed expense, but we do want to make sure, like, if you're sick, you actually go and pay for that copay or get that prescription or get that scheduled surgery or whatever it is that you need to take care of yourself. And then maintenance as well. We have to reinvest, unfortunately, in like if the flat tire, like we're going to have to pay for that. And then the other areas, project, celebration, travel, and fun, those are areas that you can look and see if you have a profitable budget for the month and actively say, yes, I do want to spend on this guilt free. And this is kind of the opposite of just late night Amazon scrolling. This is being intentional and choosing where you want to spend that money. And then you have the P&L or profit and loss. So basically, in a given month, you can guilt free reinvest in those categories. And then sometimes you're not going to spend all of that. So whatever is left is the profit and loss. So the profit and loss is actually going to look different than your ending balance because this is looking at just the month income coming in and the fixed expenses coming out for that month. You might actually start the month with retained earnings from the previous month. So here you'll review your P&L and then what is budgeted and what was actually occurring. And again, mine is different mostly because of those weird double charges on my health and car insurance. I do like to review my spending in my weekly cash or operating. You'll see the total I spent on monthly or groceries was 188. I spent 60 on gas, 96 on food and drinks out, 104 on other miscellaneous. Then what I like to review is my actual life. So I use my financial day planner, classic planner. Let's take a look. As CFO, I like to have an annual review and get a sense for what's going on in my year and then break that down by quarter and follow up monthly. Here I'm just kind of reviewing what I wanted for the year. And this is specifically what I thought I would do in January. And I'm kind of highlighting a few of the things that I haven't gotten to yet. And I'm going to either try and do a crunch to get those done at the end of this month, the last couple days, or roll it over and mark out what I need to do still for the following month. The fourth step with the monthly budget review is to plan. Now that you've reviewed everything, you want to plan in detail the upcoming month and your priorities of what's going on in your financial life. Here I'm writing out in February, I'm going to do therapy weekly. I am doing my dermatologist appointment. That's going to be $350. I have an eye doctor appointment, hopefully a follow-up too. I am going to get allergy medicine, do that over the counter with weekly cash. I am still needing to figure out what I'm going to do with my license plate. I need to get some car washes. I do want to buy that TV that I've been putting off and also get a vacuum and air filter. I'm going to use my weekly cash for that. Priority for projects in February, I do want to do an e-file organization and track what I'm doing specifically with this content. For celebrations, I'm going to do $100 extra for Valentine's and book my massage. I do have a Galentine's Day that I'm going to get White Elephant. I'm going to use my weekly cash. Some birthdays I'm noting, I'm going to just text them they're out of town. For travel, don't have anything I'm going to spend money on, but I do need to kind of plan. And for fun, I wanted to do 3 events each month. So I'm going to do a stand-up comedy show, happy hour, and podcast meetup. All of these actually don't have covers, so I'm probably just going to use my weekly cash to buy a drink or grab some food. I am going to try pickleball open play. I do want to track 200 group fitness. I also found a dinner group that I'm going to get the registration for. You pay like $45 or something for 3 months, then you get access to be matched up with new people. So I'm going to try that out. I'm going to have a nails night. A friend wants to paint my nails and just have fun. And then I'm going to keep adding to meetup ideas. I have a full spreadsheet. I just want to do a lot of fun stuff this year. Then part of the review is just marking my calendar for events. So I'm marking down some birthdays, hikes and bike groups, and happy hours where my dermatologist appointment is, therapy, Galentine's. I am trying to up my social media game. So I have an IG training. I'm marking those things out. I do have Best Money Class Ever, which is my signature personal finance class that's wrapping up. The final part with planning, I'm going to head over to the February budget and just double check that everything that I want to do, there is a dollar sign for that. I want to try the dinner group. That's going to be 45 extra that I am going to budget for. I am adding just the main big things on the financial day planner spreadsheet calendar to kind of visually see it here and write my top things to do, make sure everything is budgeted and allocated for. And that is exactly how to have a monthly budget review. As a quick recap, there are 4 steps. Step number 1 is to track your transactions to know exactly where your money's going. Step number 2 is to reconcile, make sure your records match the actual bank records. Step number 3 is then to review. You'll want to look at where the spending's going, trends, things that are happening, making sure you're on track with your goals and progress for the year. And then step number 4 is to plan. A budget is not restrictive. It basically puts a dollar sign to your to-do list and allows you to do more of the things that you love in life. All in all, a monthly review is a chance to pause, reflect, realign. It keeps you connected to your goals, helps you make informed decisions, gives you confidence and clarity with your finances. Money doesn't manage itself. This is how you stay in the driver's seat. And now it is time for a Best Money Class Ever Money Win. I am here to hype you up, and I have a good one this week. If you've ever thought, I can't be good with money and still have fun and enjoy life, this one is for you. You can actually do both. Here is proof. She said, "Hey Carly, I really enjoyed your class and I'm making big strides. I want to go out, be with friends, and I previously didn't know how to do that and still be responsible with money." She paid off her credit card completely, which was $2,727. And she also set aside her first $1,000 to open her retirement account. If Claire can find balance with money, you can too. Thank you so much, my yellow groupers, for watching. Every show has a dope name that they call their listeners. I'm calling you my yellow group. We have slow starts. We've been through some things. We get behind. Nothing comes easy. Life did not go as planned. The cards are stacked against us. The hands that we were dealt are not ideal. But let me tell you, that is where our grit is born and where we decide to turn things around. We get off course, we get knocked down, but we never, ever, ever give up. Our trials or adversities, that is what makes us stronger. I hope that you stay accountable with money and have your first ever money budget review. Again, you can grab the exact financial day planner that I use in the link below. I would love to hear from you. I'm really curious. Do you do monthly budget reviews? Let me know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Spill your financial tea and leave a comment now. Did you like this show? Then like it. Make sure to subscribe and share it with your friends who also geek out over money. Leave me a 5-star review wherever you're listening. It really helps others who are on a mission to pay off debt and invest find this show. Best Money Class Ever, my signature live and virtual 4-week personal finance class is in session right now. You want in? Save your spot to take the introduction for free. You can get on the wait list. Head on over to bestmoneyclassever.com. You'll also instantly get a 20-page downloadable guide with a step-by-step plan, pay off debt, and invest. As always, remember, you only live once. Be smart with your money now. I will catch you later. Bye.